The World Economic Forum has been talking about 15-minute cities for quite some time.
A 15-minute city is based on the idea that we can build neighborhoods where everything we need, or most of the things we need in our lives, can be reached very quickly.
So they plan cities to localise services so people stay within 15 minutes of their house.
More critical voices about a 15-minute city, about the challenges. People were not to go out of the 15-minute bubble. We could also increase segregation.
Yeah, if you're in a suburb that's not close to the beach, it's more than 15 minutes away and you want to go, you might claim, hang on, I've been segregated.
I wanted to start by asking Sally, Lord Mayor of Melbourne.
Oh, you Melbourneites must be proud there's your Lord Mayor at the World Economic Forum Zoom meeting. Nothing but good can come from that. Look at her smiling.
Thanks, Carlo. It's an honour to join you on this panel today and to talk about 15-minute cities to drive aspirational economic, social and environmental outcomes for our community.
Look, according to her, Melbourne residents are aspirational towards this concept.
The co-location of work, live and play, and that underpins our 20-minute city.
You are well served, Melbourne. Your Lord Mayor has wrangled an extra 5 minutes. You get a 20-minute city. Plan Melbourne to have some information under 20 minutes. Can't believe you guys are getting such a good deal. 20-minute neighbourhood is all about living locally, giving people the ability to meet most of their daily needs within a 20-minute walk from home and safe cycling and local transport options. Hang on a minute. Or you can't go that far walking or cycling. You go much further in a car, but they haven't mentioned cars. Even with a 50k limit, you can at least get, say, 15k's, at least go to a different pub in case the one that's within your walking distance you don't like. So further on, you get this walkable 20-minute neighbourhoods, and right at the bottom, they've actually got a distance. 800 metres is the measure of a 20. So it's not a 20-minute neighbourhood, it's an 800-metre neighbourhood. Melbourne residents probably might not be as aspirational towards Sally's goals now they know it's only 800 metres. But look, people will just jump in their cars. I mean, what are they going to do? Ban cars that people can afford? Electric cars aren't cheap, and they never will be because there isn't enough material in the batteries to replace all cars on the road now with electric cars. So the supply is always going to be limited, which of course when there's limited supply, the price goes up and only certain people can afford them. But that's a long way off though. Apparently climate change is an emergency. What are they going to do in the interim? Earlier this month, over in Oxfordshire, the UK, green light for Oxford traffic filters banning private cars from city roads. So they're going to have 6 traffic filters to close off routes during operational hours. What's operational hours? 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. If you read the paragraphs before them, there's quite a bit of opposition to this at this meeting. One of the speakers had to be ejected. It's the top paragraph. There were more objectors and no speaking in support. What was the ratio? 10 to 1? The first sentence of the second paragraph ties it to climate change. So the second sentence starts with claims from objectors. If you go right down to the bottom, they claim that sections of the city would end up being cut off from each other. That's not a claim. That's an aspiration from Sally. Of course, mainstream media such as the BBC aren't going to cover this. Well, if they did, it wouldn't be in context. So it's left up to small media organisations and social media. This news article from Russia Today, interesting, and it's got a bit more information. Now, the Oxfordshire Council website didn't explain how the filters were going to limit traffic, but they do. Fines will be issued to people whose number plates are captured by cameras driving where they shouldn't be driving. Another alt media website, Oxfordshire Council to trial a climate lockdown starting 2024. But there's something sinister about this particular alt media website. Rather than just report the actual facts like Russia Today did, Eric is the guy that wrote this article, comes up with this made-up piece of bullshit. The latest stage in the 15 minutes is to place electronic gates on key roads. Now, that was never mentioned. Now, where did he get that from? Well, he made it up. Why would he make it up? Well, it gives the opportunity for big news organisations like Microsoft News to weigh in. So 2 things. They refer to it that it was inaccurate information, but then they also say that council staff were abused following viral article. And Oxfordshire Council themselves also come to the party, contrary to the viral articles, because they actually name that only that one article. They don't mention RT or anyone else, just that one. There will be no physical barriers. So there's no need for panic, no need for opposition to this. Just let it go ahead. Now, the original protest was about the filters and the fines. Introducing the false story, what that does is anyone that would have joined the protest later on would think that the original protesters were protesting about the barriers and they were wrong and we shouldn't listen to them. But they weren't. They were protesting the original filters and fine system. And part 2 is to invent stories that people against it are extreme abusers and involve the police to then go after them. And people that aren't really paying attention will think, oh, there we go, it was misinformation. It will not involve physical barriers. Yeah, go and arrest those nut jobs, even though they were just the original people at the council meeting. I like Redacted YouTube channel, but my eyebrows have been raised by the fact they used the fake story one instead of, say, RT or all the other ones in their video presentation. So they either unwittingly assisted our opposition or, you know where I'm going with that.
And we were the first city in Australia to pledge to report our progress against the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
Those United Nations sustainability goals is, I'm sure, what's driving Oxfordshire's traffic limitation plan, so you can bet that's going to come to Melbourne and every city in Australia. They're only in the initial marketing stage, and they've got a video up on their website. I'll put a link to this. It's all light-hearted music. It all sounds fantastic, but if you look at that map they've got there, 800 metres walk from your home. Well, if they're going to have cameras, well, there might be a camera right next to you, so rather than your dot being in the middle, you might be towards one of the extremities. But if you're right in the middle, you can only drive 400 metres. Hey, what if there's not a petrol station in your 800 metres? Allotted circle for driving a car. So what if you're a cyclist and you're super fit and 40k ride's not a problem for you? Can you just ride 40k's from your allotted 800 metre zone? Well, if you read this, it can get a bit sinister. It says research shows that 20 minutes is the maximum time considered reasonable for pedestrians to travel to meet most of their everyday needs. And if you go back to the overview in the second paragraph, they say within a 20-minute walk from home with safe cycling options. This is before they get to the 800 metre limitation. So it'd be just a one-step increment to all of a sudden saying to a cyclist, actually, we've just changed the rules slightly. No, you can't ride 40k's. With random checks like they were honing during COVID. Remember, they could just pull you over and ask where you were from. And if you were too far from home, guess what? So let's just do a quick case study on St Kilda and how that's going to work, or how it's worked already. Let's just say you've got a homeless shelter, say from the Gapwick in St Kilda. Well, you know, the sort of other more affluent residents, well, do they really want to be trapped and have these people have a base within their little 800 metre? I mean, surely they could do something about that, couldn't they? Well, the Gatwick Hotel was pressured to close down back in 2017. Yes, it was closed down because of pressure from politicians and police. See, local police said recently they attended 5 jobs a day at the house. And they don't mention how many convictions and court cases and stuff that would actually prove that, but that's what they're saying. So wouldn't any, if there were crimes or problems, wouldn't they just be transferred somewhere else so that other cops were doing 5 jobs a day? Yeah, but it's not in St Kilda. Anyway, as it turned out, the timing was perfect because a television show, a corporation, they wanted a property in a local area so that they could use for their TV show. Wow, who would have thought? It worked out so perfectly because it's been transformed from a place where poor people were living for wealthy investors. All right, now you're talking, St Kilda. This is what we want to see in our 800 metre, possibly bigger for them, restriction zone. Around that time, gee, they're cleaning it up all in one go. They also had to take care of another unsavoury house for the poor that was in St Kilda. Look, the Regal had to close after mounting safety concerns from nearby residents and traders. Well, here's one of the residents, Kate Langbroke. Kate demanded answers and she showed us bruises from the harrowing attack. That when you listen to the account, it made absolutely no sense in terms of where people were, the timing, how it could possibly have happened.
I was yelling at Annabelle, call 000, call the cops, you know, and then there was this terrifying period where Peter was outside with him, so he tried to lure him away from our house, obviously.
A few seconds ago, she said, you know, then she goes, obviously, like, you do believe me, don't you? Because as I said, when I actually broke it down on a Mayor video, and none of what she said, no one would have done what she said. It just made no sense at all. It was complete fabrication. God, it was bullshit. Anyway, as a media performer, presenter, total sellout to the Australian people, she said, yeah, I'll do it. And second paragraph from the bottom, he said, the likelihood of securing beds in St Kilda look pretty slim due to the shortage of housing for single men. Good. We don't want them there. We're attacking innocent and upstanding members of society like Kate and wealthy investors. Scotty Gann, the tradie. He was the one that's pushing that jabs shit. All right, that's it for this one.